Yo. So, how overthinking takes away our clarity and discernment. When we are in patterns of overthinking, we're really living in ego and illusion, and we're clouding our judgment, and it just makes things a lot harder for ourselves. So your thoughts naturally reflect your emotions. So when we give our thoughts too much power, they kind of override our experience, and we really let our thoughts take control of the situations we're in, and it's just not healthy because we don't have that balance. We don't have that, we're caught in the ego. We're caught in thought forms, and just really it's just unnecessary suffering for a lot of the time. That's not to say that our thoughts are bad or anything. It's just we've got to be able to balance out, thoughts, emotions, and everything that comes along with this human body. So in order to really get out of that mode of overthinking, we've got to bring awareness to that. First of all, bring awareness that we are overthinking. So that can be the first step, is just being aware that you're overthinking, and that automatically brings you somewhat out of that, because you can perceive that and be a higher perspective in the situation, and that naturally pulls yourself out. So just being aware of those patterns is like a huge step. Like if you're in your thoughts and you're in that mental chatter that's just overriding, and then you're just in it, and there's no perspective of it, and there's no awareness of it. You're just caught in that illusion. So it requires, if we really want to pull ourselves out of these patterns, it requires that awareness and a sense of detachment. Now detachment, it's a word that it gets thrown around a lot and stuff, and you've got to really use your discernment with it. So it's basically that we let the mind do what the mind does, right? Like, you can't stop the mind. Like that analogy of, if I told you to think about monkeys right now, right? Think about monkeys. You're gonna think about monkeys. You can't stop the mind from doing it what it's doing. And if you do, you're making things harder. You're causing more resistance. And if you try and suppress your thoughts, it's not the way to go about it, at least for me. So it's more so letting those thoughts be there, letting them play out, but having that detachment of it. So almost like, clouds, and just seeing the thoughts as going by, and let them play out, and just letting them come through, and then go, because that's the nature of thoughts, that they come in and then they do their thing and then they go. But a lot of the time we kind of just stick onto them, we keep them, the cloud comes in and then we just hold on to it, and it creates this storm, and when we could just let it come in and just let it flow out the other side. That's but yeah, that requires that awareness and that detachment from it, and coming into a higher perspective. it never really works. Like when we're suppressing our thoughts and we're like telling ourselves, oh, I shouldn't think that and that, it just makes things harder. You kind of got to work with the mind and give it its space, give it its, because it's its own, energy. It's you've kind of got to give it its space, and yeah, let it work itself, and just having that awareness of it, and that that takes really looking at yourselves and really looking at what's going on within yourself. If you're not capable of doing that, then you're probably in for a bit of strife, because that's what we need to do. Yeah. So like, I see it all the time. There's so much unnecessary suffering in people, and it really hits my heart, because a lot of the times we're going through things that we don't need to be doing, and it's just so unnecessary. Like we could go through an experience and we could just make it so much harder on ourselves just because we're feeding into those thought patterns. And it's like, when we could just, like, say an emotion inflicted some sort of emotional, it triggered us an external event, and then the best way to deal with it would be to let whatever needs to come up and let it come up and let it go through, just like the thoughts and the clouds, like with your emotions as well, letting it come up as natural as possible, and letting it flow through and letting the thoughts flow through. But we like to make things harder for ourselves, and we don't need to. Like, there's so much unnecessary suffering in this world, and that stems from the ego and illusion and making things out to be what they aren't really, like in their truest form. So we're just caught in thought loops and illusions and things that are just I see it all the time. It's we just make things harder for ourselves when we don't need to. We got to bring awareness to those patterns and just try and hold space for them, instead of, when we hold space, it means that we're pulling ourselves out of those thought patterns, and we're not believing ourselves to be that experience, and like we're letting it be there, but we're perceiving it. So we're at a higher vantage point, so we can kind of let things let our thoughts and emotions play out, and just not be so overly attached to them and involved in the noise, because it can be tricky though, like the mind's a tricky bastard. He's a tricky bastard. Tricky. So I want to give you guys like examples of things you can do to pull yourselves out of those thought patterns and those patterns of unnecessary suffering. So just things like, it's basically like where your awareness is going, like where you're putting your energy, where your awareness is going. So if your awareness is just on your thoughts, then that's going to be your experience, and you're going to experience out a lot of noise and a lot of unnecessary things. So if you can put your awareness on something that's going on around you, or just something that can pull you out. So let's say your breath is a big one. That's like coming back to your breath. It's always there. It anchors you in the here and now. It anchors you in your experience, takes you out of your thoughts, because you're putting your awareness onto something that's other than your thoughts, right? So just following the breath in and out, and following the sensations of the breath, the lungs in and out, and how your body moves with that. And that can be throughout your day while you're doing things. That can be a meditation in itself. Breathwork's huge. It's a really good start for bringing awareness to your day-to-day life. Like, it can be you doing anything and just coming back to your breath. really anchors you. It could also just be, you know, your senses, right? Any of your senses, your touch, your smell, your sight. You could focus on, you know, the things around you, especially if you're pinpoint focused on something. There also is mantra. So when you have something set in your mind and have a mantra set, and you can repeat it over again, then you kind of override the mind's thoughts, and you really bring awareness to this one thing over and over again, and it really grounds you. But yeah, other things like your senses, your smell, like just coming back to things that just pinpoint focusing your attention on things that aren't rooted in like unnecessary things, like, you know, your thought patterns. And like, it's always good to, like, saying that you should put your awareness somewhere other than your thoughts is not exactly what I'm saying. Like, the thoughts will be there, and sometimes, like, we can't necessarily like completely ignore what our thoughts are saying, because we need to be aware. We need to bring awareness to our thoughts, but it's tricky because there's that being detached from it. So it's still having awareness of it, but it's being detached from it, meaning you're pulling yourself out of it, but you still let it play out, but you're just not overly involved with it and not, you know, going with its games and stuff. So it's more about, you know, having awareness. And having awareness means just perceiving, seeing, right? And that comes, awareness, when we really build our awareness and cultivate it, we bring awareness to everything. We open up more and more to everything that's going on with inside of us. So the more we're able to cultivate awareness in our day-to-day life and our activities, the more we're able to see, the more we're able to see things that were hidden and things that were, like, you know, our shadow, and things that are kind of hiding, and like traumas and stuff. So like bringing awareness, and it's like a light, right? You're shining a light on that darkness and that shadow that's you know, all your addictions and your habits and your stuff and your relationships, that a lot of that comes from that shadow, especially if you're living out karmic patterns and stuff. That comes from your shadow and unseen traumas and stuff that's bottled down. And when you start to cultivate awareness, you really, that stuff starts to come to the surface, and you it's really freeing, because you can now see what was holding you back, and that stuff starts to come to the light. And it may be painful, and it may be a lot, like, hard to deal with, but that's the game. That's why we're here. We're here to be free from that, break free from that, and live a life that we want to live. So yeah, I think that's so, like, meditation, it's just so important. And meditation doesn't have to be this strict thing where everyone has a different meditations. You don't have to, you don't have to go, you know, sit and go in. Meditation is so many different things. Like, it can be sport, it can be anything, like going for a walk and just watching yourself walk, and bringing more awareness to your body, coming into your body more. There's so many ways to meditate, and you know, meditation's a word that's been watered down in a lot of things, but just, you know, bringing that awareness, cultivating that awareness. And what that does is it gives space for our emotions and the natural processes of the body to to naturally work themselves out, and yeah, we give space for things to work themselves out by themselves, because the mind can't figure all this out. The mind doesn't work everything out by itself. It's a tool, right? It's a tool, and I feel like in this day and age, we've kind of flipped that, and we've kind of just used our mind as like everything that we are, and we think we're this tool, like, but it's not us. It's a tool. It's there for us to help us, to guide us through life, and we've kind of just used that as like our full identity, which is just not true. So when we can cultivate awareness and bring space to that, and look at things from a higher perspective, and let things play themselves out how they need to, then we really start to bring more freedom into our lives, and joy and love, and really open ourselves up to our capabilities, because we're capable of so much more than just what our minds are thinking, and what, you know, what's going on inside of our head. We're so much more than that. We're divine beings. Like, we've got so much potential, like, and like, the mind's a sharp tool. It's a knife. It's double-edged sword. It's it can be so powerful, and like, it can bring greatness, but with that greatness, it can also come with destruction, and you know, a lot of unnecessary grief and problems in our lives. And you know, you can make a choice of how you want to use the mind. Do you want to use it to propel you? Do you want to use it to, you know, bring a better life for yourself? Because it's a tool, right? It's not who you are. It's a tool. It's who you are is so much more than your mind. You're so much more than that, and I hope you can see that if you're watching, because it's so true. Like, we're so much more than what we're taught we are. Like, just, and it's powerful when you start to come into who you truly are, because you see past a lot of illusions and a lot of things in this society that, you know, have taught you that you're this limited box, and you're in this box, and you're this limited identity. But we're so much more than that. And if you're watching, I hope this resonates with you. I appreciate you for watching. I have love for you guys. Yeah, thank you. Cheers. Have a good day.